Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, and this is New Music's Alive in 2025, where I talk about new metal, rock, and prog albums that came out this year, recently over the past week. So I'm going to talk about 4 albums that came out on September 5th, 2025, and I'll talk about them in my order of preference and give my quick first impressions, starting with Wippy Bonstack and his album Correct Irregulars. This is the 4th album by this American artist, and it's avant-garde, experimental progressive rock with art rock, pop, math rock, indie rock, and electronic influences. This one I'm going to put in my near masterpiece tier. It's a new found favorite that I just discovered very recently, and I'm going to definitely be going back and listening to everything that Wippy Bonstack's put out before. Wippy Bonstack is the solo project of songwriter and composer Ben Conigliero, who has performed with other acts like Sun Colored Chair, Wix, and In Dream View. This is his second album so far this year, so he's been busy this year. The first album he put out this year was instrumental, but this new one has vocals, both male and female vocals. It's very quirky, it's fun, it's complex. It's for fans of Bubble Math, Mr. Bungle, King Crimson, because it's all over the place and complex like those, but it somehow manages to do that while being more accessible than those bands overall. It's definitely still weird and not for like the super casual listener, but it's the kind of stuff you can put on around normal people and they'd be like, that's a bit weird, but they could still tolerate listening to it. So it's not too crazy and avant-garde to the point where it would scare people, but it's definitely the kind of thing where there's weird noises here and there and very atypical stuff going on. But yeah, really fun. Wippy Bonstack, I guess Ben, plays electric guitar, acoustic guitar, vocals, drums, bass, piano, synth, keyboard, melodica, glockenspiel, and percussion. On all the tracks, he performs and writes all the tracks, and then has guest vocalist Elizabeth Smilin doing vocals on about 8 of the tracks here, I think. And flute. She does flute on 6 of the tracks. And there's a lot of tracks on this album. How many are there? It's 22 tracks. Nothing too long. The longest one, I think, is just over 6 minutes. But yeah, a lot of tracks. So you get a lot of different, and there's a lot of variety. You also have guest bass performed by Quinn Conigliero on 2 of the tracks, and tenor saxophone by John Rockeke on 2 tracks, and trumpet by Andres Olauri on a track. So cool guest performances there. Everyone does a great job on this. This is very, very interesting, and yeah, this is the new favorite project for me. I'll be checking it out on my growing list of favorites that it contains hundreds of bands now at this point. But yeah, really enjoyed this. It's a possible contender for year-end top 40 or 50 or whatever kind of video I make. I think this could be up there. Next up for today's video is Green Carnation and their album A Dark Poem Part 1, The Shores of Melancholia. This is the 7th album by this Norwegian band. It's progressive doom metal with gothic metal, alternative metal, death metal, post-metal, black metal, and progressive rock influences. And this one by Green Carnation I'll put in my excellent tier. Green Carnation formed way back in 1990 by the former Emperor bass player Terje Vik Shea before he joined Emperor. And that lineup of the band split up with the remaining members creating the excellent band In the Woods. So definitely check this album out by Green Carnation if you like In the Woods. It reminds me a bit of them. And for the first 3 tracks of this album, they reminded me of Nevermore, as they use mostly clean vocals that are powerful and operatic but doomy. Track 4 then started out with some intense harsh screams and tremolo picked guitar, and keeps going with this black metal style vocal that reminds me of Emperor and Enslave, before going back to nice clean vocals. And listening to this album inspired me to check out their previous album as well, Leaves of Yesteryear from 2020, which is also excellent. Definitely check out this new album by Green Carnation if you want to hear some In the Woods meets Nevermore meets Emperor and Enslaved meets Catatonia kind of vibes. Imagine those bands mixed together and you get Green Carnation. It's mostly melodic and pretty accessible, not too brutal, but there is that one track that gets pretty brutal and has harsh vocals. Next up, I've got Tallah with their album Primeval Obsession Detachment. This is the third album by this American metalcore band with new metal, hardcore, rap, and alternative metal influences. I'm going to put this one in my very good tier. I thought their last album was very good as well, so I was interested to hear this new one from Tallah. This continues the sound of their last album. It's on par with it in terms of quality. And for me, it's fun to listen to when it's on, but nothing grabbed me too much or makes me want to go back to this release from Tallah much. The bass work from Max Portnoy, son of Mike Portnoy, is really good here, though. He used to play drums in the band, but now it seems he plays bass instead, and he's doing great on that. So he's a multi-talented, multi-instrumentalist there. But definitely check this out. If you're a fan of Slipknot, I think you'll like this new release from Tallah. And last on this video for today is Blessthefall with their album Gallows, the 7th album by this American melodic metalcore band. They've got post-hardcore and screamo influences. I'll put this in my very good tier as well. I've listened to some of their stuff before, but never really got into them too much. But I enjoyed the singles I heard. Blessthefall, they're nothing mind-blowing or anything like that, but they're interesting enough to capture my curiosity. I expected this to be a pretty straightforward metalcore album. I was hoping I'd be surprised, but it pretty much turned out to be that. It's well executed metalcore that's melodic and catchy. It has some good riffs for fans of Motionless in White, Escape the Fate, and Of Mice and Men. Another album that's fun to listen to while it's on, but nothing grabbed me too much or makes me want to go back to it and listen again. That's Blessthefall with Gallows. And that's it for my first impressions on these 4 albums that came out on September 5th. What do you think of these albums? Let me know down in the comments. And did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you're in the right place. You found the right channel. I talk about my first impressions of new albums in those genres that come out every week as they come out. In about a week's time, I'll be talking about my first impressions of Between the Buried and Me, Silverstein, Dance Gavin Dance, Lorna Shore, C. Saren, Arian Anthony Lucasen, and Humphreys McGee and Spinal Tap, all of their new albums. That's going to be a big week, September 12th, with, what is that, 8? Yeah, 8 albums that I'm already planning on checking out, and maybe I'll hear about something in between now and then. So hit that subscribe button if you want to stay in the loop on when I release that video and hear my first impressions on those. Until then, peace out.